from being released in May of 2022 to getting its last update on September 26th of 2024, and then getting delisted from all storefronts in April of 2025, this is the downfall of Evil Dead the game. Evil Dead was developed by Saber Interactive and is a PvP game where one player plays as the Kandarian demon and tries to hunt down and eliminate 4 survivors before they manage to banish them. When the game was released, they sold 500,000 copies in under a week, and was doing actually especially well due to the fact that it had crossplay between PC and console, and is actually also surprising due to the fact that the game also had really poor marketing. I heard about it maybe a week or two before it was released, so it just was really not good marketing, and also limited the amount of players due to the fact that the Evil Dead signed to be only released on Epic Games for 1 year on PC. So if you are a fan of Steam, you are going to have to wait until 2023 to get a hold of this game, which immediately turned off a crap ton of people that were interested in this game. I did actually buy this game on release, and I actually quite liked the game. I played it with one of my buddies, and we both thought it was pretty fun, but we both immediately saw some issues that we felt like really need to be worked on if this game was to continue being something we would return to. And I don't really feel like a lot of them were really, fixed. Like, the biggest one, in my opinion, that immediately screws us up for me is I have no idea why they never made it so if when you are trying to capture the dagger, there is also the map. Survivors, they like to just have 2 people go to each of them, and if you are the demon, you cannot prevent that. You just gotta sit there and just basically you gotta sacrifice one of them. They're getting one of them, and well, if you did manage to kill any of them, then shit, tough luck, because once they capture the other objective, all of the people come to life again. And so, in other words, you're just kind of fucked if you're doing that. This was always a huge issue for me, so I could never get into being demon. Like, yeah, I know you can learn to counter it, but I just wasn't willing to invest all this time into learn how to counter that. So survivors quickly became my main. Not that I was very good at that one either, to be honest. But we did play it and quickly stopped after about a week or two, just purely for the fact that this game honestly just really doesn't have the best replay value in my opinion. And we did come back to this game about a month or two later and immediately got greeted with one of the other biggest issues, which I feel like limited a lot of players throughout the whole game's lifespan, which was the skill gap. When players took a break or just got new to the game, the players that have been playing this game are so much better than them, and you're just gonna get demolished. Every time you play as the demon, you're going to lose. Every time you're playing as a survivor, you're gonna get walloped on. And so it was such a obstacle to try to overcome and learn how to play this. And so I feel like that just totally screwed over so many new players where they would find it fun, but they weren't willing to invest the time. And that was the issue with me, where I took a break, came back to it, and by the time that I came back, players were so much better than me that I was just screwed, and I was just going to die over and over and over, and it just wasn't going to be any fun. So I quickly found a new game to switch and play. When this game released, for some reason, they decided, hey, let's release this with only 2 maps, which was so dumb. In it, they just both felt the exact same. because they were both forest maps, and so I could not really tell them apart very well. And so they just made the game immediately feel so much more repetitive, so much quicker. But later, they did actually release a new map. That was actually the only map they released throughout the game's whole lifespan from 2022 to 2025. They never released one more map after the third one. So, have fun playing those 3 maps forever. The fact that we only got one new map throughout 3 years of this game being released, I feel like was honestly really pathetic and just doomed this game from the start. But hey, when Evil Dead did eventually come to Steam in April of 2023, it was way too late. Based upon the fact that if you look online, the player count from just peak was 568 players and quickly dropped down to 50, then to 30 players, and that's average. So it immediately demolished a huge player base from Steam and immediately limited the amount of players that really wanted to play it. They did actually eventually add in a Battle Royale mode, something that everyone was clearly asking for. When they think Evil Dead, first thing that comes to mind, Battle Royale, of course. But sadly, I never got the chance to play it due to the fact that that mode was just completely dead and I could not find a match even when I would wait for 30 minutes on end and never could find anything. But from what I have seen, the gameplay, it looks pretty lazy. And something you could kind of tell the creators just really didn't invest much time into making. Sadly, the long waiting doesn't seem to be limited to just the Battle Royale mode. When I would search for a Survivor game, it would take me about 5 minutes on average. And that's only going to get longer due to the fact this game has just been delisted and no one's going to be buying it now. Something that annoys me with this game and a lot of online games is that once this game fully dies and the creators do not want to keep paying for the servers, you cannot play it. All due to the fact that it requires you to connect to their servers. Like, I get most stuff in this game would require you to connect to the servers, but why can I not just play against bots or explore the maps or play the single player missions without connecting to the servers? Well, actually, I could tell you why. It's because the creators just honestly just really didn't care about this game. It seems to just be a really simple, lazy cash grab, and after it was released to Steam, it only got 5 more updates throughout the whole year it was on there. Throughout the whole life of the game, they were not straightforward with the fan base and would have months upon months upon months of pure radio silence and release a pretty underwhelming update that just really wasn't worth the wait ultimately. I even sat down and asked a community of fans of this game, and they all immediately voiced a displeasure for the creators of this game. And they all wish they did things a different way and wish they'd never threw it only exclusively on Epic Games for a year. And it's crazy the fact that they even released this game for free on Epic Games.
So what was
and that was not enough to cause this game to fail. I personally feel like a lot of it has to come down to the creators. The really slow updating, and when they do update it, the content they added in are just underwhelming. The fact that they only released one map over 3 years is insane to me, that they did not expect it to just fail with that little amount of maps. We can't be expected to be playing on the same 3 maps for eternity and still feel like this is a lot of fun. I also feel like this game would have benefited significantly from a horde mode or something along those lines, some more content besides just PvP. And lastly, a big chunk of it as well, I feel like, is the Epic Games exclusivity. Also turned off a huge chunk of the PC player base and made it so not as many people were interested in the game.